Let's talk about the different types of business operations, specifically a service, merchandising, and manufacturing operation. Now, a service company might be the kind of operation that provides a service like legal services or accounting services, or maybe they do your taxes. A merchandising operation is an organization that buys something, maybe like sneakers, and turns around and sells it to the customer. And then we have a manufacturing operation. What they are doing is they are taking raw materials, shaping them into something, assembling them into something, and then turning around and selling that. Let's define them all in more detail. A service operation, a company or a portion of a company's operations that sells services. Examples today would be things like banking services, consulting services, or legal services. Moving on to merchandising operation, a company or a portion of a company's operations that resells goods they've purchased. Examples today would be companies like Walmart, the Home Depot, or Costco. And finally, we can take a look at manufacturing operations. This is defined as a company or a portion of a company's operations that uses equipment, machinery, tools, and labor to convert materials into finished products. Examples today would be a company like Pepsi, Tesla, or even a fine watchmaker like Rolex. Now let's discuss their financial statements. If you've studied accounting before, you know that financial statements can be quite detailed with a whole lot of different accounts and different line items. For this video, we're going to keep it pretty simple, just enough to fit on a phone. So let's start off with service operation. A service operation would have their income statement, and on it, they would have service revenues, expenses, and then net income. On their balance sheet, what does inventory look like? Well, service operations do not have inventory accounts because they are only providing services, no inventory to speak of. This will look different when we move on to a merchandising operation. Again, on their income statement, they will have revenues, but now we'll call it sales revenue. And from that, we subtract the cost of goods sold, or COGS, and we get the gross profit. From that, we subtract the rest of our expenses, and we end up with net income. On their balance sheet, they would have inventory. So they'd have a number of accounts, as cash and various other assets. And then they would get to merchandise inventory. Now, finally, we can look at a manufacturing operation. A manufacturing operation would again have an income statement, and it starts off looking similar to what we just did. We'll have sales revenue, the cost of goods sold, gross profit, expenses, and net income. On the balance sheet, however, things look a little different. There are a number of accounts, asset accounts, and then we get to our inventory accounts. We could have direct, also known as raw materials inventory, work in process inventory, and finished goods inventory. So in our course, we spend most of our time focused on manufacturing operations or manufacturing companies. And we spend a bunch of that time focused in on these three accounts. So let's quickly define them so we're comfortable. We'll start with direct or raw materials inventory. These are materials used directly in the manufacturing process to produce finished goods. These could be things like steel or wool, or in our example today, we'll say lumber or wood. Then we have work in process inventory. These are the goods that are in various stages of production but are not yet complete. So here's a little picture of someone that is still working. You can see whatever they are working on is not yet complete, but they are past the point of it just being considered raw material or direct material. The materials are in use or the work is in process. Then finally, we have finished goods inventory. Finished products that have completed all stages of production. So in our example here, let's say they've finished everything and now we have a nice little wooden chair. In summary, for this quick little video, we can see that the three different types of operations, service, merchandising, and manufacturing, have different accounts. And in our course, we'll be focused on manufacturing operations. With that, I will say thank you for watching, and may your journey be joyful.
Listen up, I'm about to drop some knowledge about business types, whether in the streets or college. 3 kinds of firms and they're all on the grind. Service, merchant, manufacturing, let's break it down, rewind. They don't sell goods, just skills and time. From doctors to lawyers, they're in their prime. Costs are mostly labor, people on the move. No inventory here, just the work they groove. Accounting's all about that labor flow. Track those hours, make that dough. Utilization rates, project cost to see. That's how service firms stack up the G. 3 types of biz, they all got a lane. Service, merchant, manufacturing in the game. Different costs, different ways they roll, but they all stack paper, they all got goals. Whoa. Next up is merch, they buy and resell, retail or wholesale, they're ringing that bell. Costs is king, that's cost of goods sold. Inventory stacked up, better make that gold. Focus on sales, keep that stock in check. Gross profit margin, gotta keep it in spec. Turnover's key, keep that product in sight. Sell it fast, flip it, that's how you keep it tight. 3 types of biz, they all got a lane. Service, merchant, manufacturing in the game. Different costs, different ways they roll, but they all stack paper, they all got goals. Whoa. Now manufacturing's where it's at. Making products from scratch, that's a fact. Materials, labor, overhead too. Costs stack up, but they know what to do. Standard costing, process a job, keeping track of it all. That's the real mob. Efficiency's key, make that production tight. In the factory, every dollar's in sight. So now you know how these firms all play in the biz world. They all gotta say, service, merchant, manufacturing crew. They all stack paper, and now you can too. Whoa.